So obviously I have the first injury and I sit out 4 games and then I come back and I play really well.
Yeah.
And I feel really good. And like even just begin the year, like I played great. Like I started the year really good. Like I felt really great. Like my numbers were great. I was shooting the ball well. And then I get hurt and it's like, okay, like you got to get healthy, whatever. You're like, I'm going to do whatever I can, to get back to what I was doing and whatever, feel good.
When the WNBA's brightest star sits across from Sue Bird and drops a comment that slices straight to the league's public image, you don't just hear frustration, you hear a power shift in real time. Caitlin Clark didn't just talk about bad officiating. She issued what might be the most precisely timed challenge to WNBA authority in years. And here's the thing, it wasn't random. She chose her moment, her platform, and even her wording with surgical precision. While every other outlet rushed to debate whether her take was right or wrong, they all missed the real story. Why she said it, when she said it, and what happened next. Because this wasn't heat of the moment trash talk. This was a player who'd been quietly studying, watching patterns from the sidelines during her injury, and waiting for the perfect stage to make her move. And when she finally spoke, the ripple effect hit instantly. Fans rallied. Hashtags exploded. League officials scrambled, and suddenly the conversation wasn't just about calls. It was about power. But here's where it gets even more dangerous for the league. The very silence of WNBA leadership might be the loudest admission of all. No public statements, no clarifications, no counter-message, just a vacuum. And in that vacuum, Clark's voice became the defining one. Today, we're going to trace the digital breadcrumbs, connect the backstage whispers, and show you exactly how one calculated sentence could force institutional changes that stretch far beyond basketball. And once you see the full picture, you'll never hear her comment the same way again.
And like the hardest part has just been like the stop and go of everything. Like, yeah. And also like with the type of injuries that I've dealt with, like there's no real, it's not like 6 weeks. All right, you're coming back for the Connecticut Sun game on August
all about how you
30th
feel in the moment.
Or whatever. It's like, how do you feel? Like, and even like when I have been back, like, I don't know how I'm going to feel the next day after playing, like when you're dealing with like these type of injuries. So I think just like the patience of dealing with all of that and giving myself a lot of grace and just trying
to understand why Caitlin Clark's comment hit like a thunderclap, you have to see the storm she walked into. The WNBA wasn't in a quiet, stable moment. It was in the middle of its biggest officiating credibility crisis in years. Calls were being questioned almost nightly. Clips of questionable fouls were going viral on social media within minutes of the final buzzer. And players, they weren't staying quiet anymore. Multiple stars had already risked fines by calling out officiating publicly. Coaches were getting slapped with penalties for simply saying what fans were thinking. And then came the commissioner's now infamous statement. No winning team complains about officiating. A Tone AF soundbite that poured gasoline on the fire. Fans saw it as dismissive. Players saw it as an insult. The league had effectively drawn a line in the sand. And on the other side stood a restless, frustrated player base. Now drop Caitlin Clark into that environment. Not just another player. The rookie phenom whose name is driving ticket sales, TV ratings, and national headlines. The player who had become the league's biggest marketing engine before she's even played a full season. She's recovering from injury, watching the chaos on the sidelines, and seeing every missed call, every moment of inconsistency, and every ounce of pressure building on her teammates. She knows the spotlight follows her, whether she's in uniform or not, which means that when she finally decides to speak, she knows everyone will hear it. That's why this moment matters. Because when the most valuable player to your business model challenges your officiating, she's not just speaking as an athlete. She's speaking as the one person you can't afford to ignore. And the way the league reacts or doesn't react tells you everything about the balance of power in professional sports right now. Here's what makes Caitlin Clark's comment so much more than a post-game soundbite. She didn't throw out in the heat of the moment after a frustrating loss with emotions running high. No, she waited. She waited until the timing was perfect. And that timing wasn't just about the news cycle. It was about the pressure points inside the league. Think about where she was. She's sidelined with an injury, not logging minutes, not racking up fouls herself, which means she has a clean vantage point on every game. From the bench, She can see patterns the average player can't see in the middle of competition. She notices who gets the calls, who doesn't, and when those whistles suddenly disappear. It's the difference between playing chess blindfolded and playing it with a full board in front of you. She also knows she's in a unique position, without the wear and tear of playing every game. She has the bandwidth to study. And according to people close to the team, that's exactly what she did. Studying game tape, rewinding plays, and dissecting positioning like an assistant coach. By the time she sits down with Sue Bird, she's not speaking from vague frustration. She's speaking from a built-up file of evidence. And then the choice of platform. This is where her media IQ kicks in. She doesn't drop the comment in a random post-practice scrum where it'll get buried under other headlines. She goes to Sue Bird's podcast, the gold standard for WNBA player interviews. Why does that matter? Because Bird isn't just a Hall of Famer. She's respected by players, coaches, media, and fans. Her platform is trusted, and her episodes travel far beyond basketball circles. Entertainment media covers them. Social justice circles cover them. It's where moments are born, not where they die. By appearing there, Clark guarantees two things. Her words will be heard by the core WNBA community, and they'll be legitimized by Bird's presence. It's like delivering your critique with a stamp of approval from one of the league's living legends. And let's be honest, if you're going to send a message to the front office, that's the podium you want to stand on. So, here's the strategic trifecta. The league at its most vulnerable point, a player with the largest audience and cleanest perspective, and a platform that turns athlete words into cultural conversations. That's not coincidence, that's timing. And when she finally delivers a line, I wouldn't miss a call. She knows exactly how far it's going to travel, and exactly how hard it's going to hit. And then it happened. Sue Bird is mid-con conversation. The cameras are rolling and Caitlin Carter leans in with a line that will follow her for the rest of the season. I wouldn't miss a call. 6 words. Calm, direct, almost playful. But make no mistake, those 6 words carried more weight than a 30-point playoff performance. In the moment, you could see Bird register it. The quick smile, the tiny head tilt, like she knew exactly what just happened. This wasn't a vague gripe. This was a direct public shot at the league's officiating integrity. And coming from the WNBA's most marketable star, it wasn't just a critique. It was a challenge. The reaction was instant. Within minutes of the clip hitting social media, fans clipped it, captioned it, and sent it ricocheting across timelines. The hashtag Clark was right started trending, not regionally, but nationally. Fans began tagging her in videos of questionable calls from other games, almost like they were deputizing her as the unofficial quality control officer for the entire league. Behind the scenes, the impact was just as fast. According to insiders, some league executives wanted to handle it quietly, pull her aside, remind her that certain criticisms are supposed to stay in-house. Others warned that trying to muzzle her would be a disaster. You don't silence the player who's driving ticket sales in nearly every arena she visits. And then there was the referee union. Whispers started circulating that certain officials felt personally disrespected, not just by the words, but by the way the moment exploded online. Some took it as an attack on their professionalism. Others, well, quietly admitted she wasn't wrong. The league's official public response, nothing. Absolute silence. No statements, no clarifications, no attempt to spin it. And that silence told its own story. Because when your biggest star calls you out on the record, and you say nothing, the message is clear. You're either scrambling behind the scenes or you're too afraid to pick that fight in public. If you really want to understand the impact of Caitlin Clark's 6-word challenge, you have to step off the court and into the league's inner circles. Because while the public got silence behind closed doors, things were anything but quiet. Multiple league sources describe a mood in those first 48 hours as fractured. On one side, yet executives who wanted to act fast, pull Clark aside, remind her that questioning officiating integrity publicly, from the opening tip, you could feel it. Every drive into the lane, every bump, every no call drew an immediate reaction from the crowd. The first time she took contact without a whistle, fans erupted, not just in frustration, but in anticipation, as if they were waiting to see if she'd give the refs that same smirk she wore in the Sue Bird interview. And when she did, It was like the crowd was in on the joke. What the public didn't see was how this shifted the balance of power in real time. Before the officials controlled the game, now every decision they made involving Clark was under a magnifying glass, replayed on Twitter, broken down on fan forums, and debated on national sports shows. The league had never had a single player whose calls were this scrutinized by the entire basketball conversation. And Clark knew it. Her comments about constant full-court pressure weren't just about defense. They were a subtle signal that she saw the bigger picture. She wasn't just fighting for better officiating. She was building a public case for player protection. By speaking out, she created a standard. Treat the league's biggest stars fairly, or be prepared for the backlash. Here's the shift. Before this, the WNBA could treat officiating complaints like background noise, a fine here, a press release there. But now, the wrong call against Clark could ignite a viral firestorm in hours. She'd effectively flipped the script, making the league react to her instead of the other way around. That's not a post-game complaint. That's a power play. Now, officially, nothing's been confirmed, but when the same whispers start surfacing in fan forums, insider circles, and even business news outlets, it's hard to ignore the pattern. And the pattern suggests that Caitlin Clark's challenge to the league didn't just create tension inside the WNBA. It rippled outward into business deals that keep the league running. Rumors suggest some corporate sponsors have been quietly pressing the league for stronger player protection protocols, with Clark's name coming up specifically. Why? Because her health and availability are directly tied to ticket sales, TV ratings, and advertising revenue. One source close to a broadcast partner reportedly put it bluntly, "If she's not on the court, we lose money." Fan theories have also been gaining traction online, especially in Reddit threads and Twitter discussions. The claim, rival teams may be deliberately using extra physicality to wear Clark down, knowing that if she's sidelined, they not only weaken her team, they take the spotlight away from a player who can shift momentum in a single quarter. No official data proves this, but the perception alone has fueled calls for rule changes to limit overly aggressive defensive strategies against star players. Even more interesting, reports claim internal discussions have floated the idea of modifying officiating guidelines midseason, something rarely done to emphasize player safety for marquee names. The catch? Doing that now would look a lot like admitting Clark's critique was valid from the start. And league leadership knows that once you publicly validate a player's criticism, you open the door for others to challenge authority the same way. Whether any of these rumored moves actually happen remains to be seen. But here's the key takeaway. When corporate sponsors, broadcast partners, and fan communities all start aligning with a player's public position, that's no longer just a player versus league dispute. That's an institutional power shift, one the league can't easily walk back. The Caitlin Clark controversy might feel like a single chapter in a single season, but in reality, it could be the opening scene of something much bigger. Because this isn't just about one player questioning officiating. It's about whether the next generation of stars will see speaking out as a risk or as a responsibility. Think about it. For decades, professional athletes were taught to keep it in-house. Air your grievances privately. Let the league handle it quietly. But social media flipped that playbook upside down. Now a single comment can become a headline in minutes, a trending topic in hours, and a cultural debate in days. And for players with Clark's reach, that kind of influence can be weaponized to force change faster than any boardroom meeting. We've already seen this shift in other sports. NBA stars pushing for social justice initiatives, NFL players demanding safety reforms, and soccer icons advocating for equal pay. Each time it starts with one voice loud enough to break through the noise. And in the WABA, Clark's voice may have just become that catalyst. Some analysts believe this will embolden other players to challenge the league openly, not just on officiating, but on travel conditions, marketing priorities, even salary structures. Rumors are already circulating that younger players in the pipeline see Clark's move as proof that the fan base will rally behind athletes who call out perceived unfairness.